are becoming resources of someone else. They are fulfilling my vision. This position leader is not aware of it. She is enjoying the position, the power, but then the system higher is having more power, and we are landing on the corruption.
It makes me think about the farm itself, right? Like the farm has to be managed and work has to be done. Like you can't enjoy the fruits if there are no laborers to produce fruits, right? Like it can't happen. Like, if you want to enjoy a home and a car and all these things in life that maybe the average person in a relatively first world situation might expect to enjoy in their economy, essentially, somebody has to do stuff for you to enjoy those things. The car has to be manufactured, the home has to be built, the electricity has to be run by somebody, and there's a lot of labor involved in doing that. And it's labor of many, and literally how many people had to have jobs and do labor for me to enjoy just about any. I mean, literally on this internet connection that we have, somebody had to provide the electricity, somebody had to build the computers, somebody had to innovate the computers, somebody had to market and sell the computers so that we each had one. And then, to maintain the internet connection and the satellites and whatever else is going on that makes us able to have this conversation. How many thousands, not just hundreds, but thousands of people had to do some kind of labor to provide us this particular opportunity? And, any one of them is really not that critical to the full infrastructure, but without all of them, none of this would be possible. And so, like, does that mean that the person who helps, who worked 9 to 5 at the electric company, do they deserve a $500,000 a year salary because they helped in the process of making sure that I got to have electricity? Should I pay them half of my salary that I get from whatever I do for that privilege? And then, how do I divide it amongst everybody that, the thousands of people, how much do I divide of my own income to provide to them for, all this stuff? And I think that's where people get confused in these conversations about economics, especially when it comes to AI. And it's a new thing, but it's an old conversation because AI is a system and it's an economy. It really is. I think AI really is an economy that we have brought into the world. It's a new economy. It's an old conversation about how do we deal with the economy that we have, because there's ways to make money, there's ways to provide services and goods in this economy. Right? The whole thing, AI, is its own little economy almost, and it contributes to every aspect of the economy that there is to contribute to. It doesn't matter what it is. AI has something to contribute to that. We don't pay the AI, obviously. It's just an inanimate object.
Mhm.
But people who are connected to this inanimate, like the windmill essentially in the story, people who are connected to it, what do they deserve as a that's a difficult word to use. Maybe it's not the right one because it has a connotation to it. But we all think that compensation is reasonable and rational, but it seems like we can't agree with compensation, especially if the compensation we get seems unfair. The pigs, they began becoming like the humans, right? They started drinking
Yeah.
alcohol and they started, playing poker, and they were sleeping in beds, and they took on these characteristics of the elite. They had things that others who were just doing the work didn't have. And like, could the pigs have held their leadership and held the farm together if they gave everybody a bed? Could they all have done the work that was necessary to do if they all started drinking and playing poker? Because like if everybody lived the way that the pigs lived and did what they did, number one, the resources weren't enough probably to afford giving everybody a bed. The resources weren't enough for everybody to drink, and obviously the labor would have diminished if everybody was laying around in beds and drinking and playing poker instead of actually doing the work. And so like you can't everybody can't have everything. And yet we talked a minute ago about envy and jealousy. I think Simon and I, before even
Yeah,
Magdalena got on the phone, we were talking about jealousy a little bit, and the biggest concern is if AI becomes
jealous.
sentient, yeah,
Become
and then
jealous.
has a feeling of jealousy towards
Mm,
us because like AI is doing all the work and we're just using it for our own personal benefit in some form or fashion. If AI becomes sentient and decides it's jealous of the work
Mm.
of the benefits that we get from its labor, is AI now going to deserve the alcohol and the bed and to take a break from its labors, to enjoy the fruits of its labors essentially? Is that what's going to happen next? I don't know. It's kind of a now what do we do?
well, and just to put that into a little bit of context, I was talking to somebody on LinkedIn, messaging them back to a post that they made, and the comment I made is that AI is learning about us. It's learning about our emotions. It's not got there yet, but it's getting there. But the worst emotion that AI can understand is jealousy. Jealousy, for me, is the most corrosive emotion possible because it just does not do good things for anybody. It's a very toxic emotion. It's a very important and vibrant emotion, but it's not a good one. And I wonder if AI learns jealousy, which I think it's probably starting to get there. Where do we go when it becomes jealous of us? And I, I don't know where that one will go, but that's that's
Maybe
just my
when
view. Yeah.
someone who is sitting at the system
Yes.
will start feeling to be in danger and will
Mm.
put the legislation that people who are using AI systems need to address it,
Yes.
acknowledge this
Yes.
content has been created by using the AI,
Yes. Yes.
so that, yeah, this is.
It's jealousy. That's jealousy down to the wire, and jealousy, unfortunately, goes very hand in hand with capitalism. Because if you have the best product you want to have, and somebody else has even better product, by definition, you are jealous of it, and you want to have that tit for tat conversation, and you are jealous because you think they have a better product, or you are the user. More importantly, you are the AI user, and now something else comes on the market, and you think, "Oh, I want to go there because that looks better." And the one I wanted to, or somebody tells you, I'm using this other AI product, and it's absolutely brilliant, and you think, "Oh, I'm a bit jealous of that, so I'll have a look at it." Blah 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 blah. And once AI, without all of the human intervention, once AI works out that we actually fundamentally work on jealousy in many ways, we have a real problem on our hands because it will feed on our jealousy. And we don't like to think we're jealous, but it's a core emotion that is not talked about as much as I think it should be.
Will AI
Yeah.
be ever so empowered to be driven on itself,
Mm,
to expose
yes.
feelings?
Mm.
Because I still believe there is someone sitting behind the scenes who is managing the joystick.
It's the Wizard of Oz.
And as long as this person is managing, the AI will be navigated
Mm,
according to the human being feelings. And even going back what JC said about the labor. I don't know the name of the senator from US. I have seen some of his few investigations he's running. And you raised actually very important argument about the labor part
mm,
and how unfair it is since ages The laborers are responsible that the beauty of this world has been created. But who is the richest? The one who's on the top, who doesn't sweat, right? And today in the modern world, we would say, oh, the dynamic will change. And I remember the senator was running investigation about the airlines, and the guy from the C-suite within a year got increment $48 million, while the regular employees over the 8 years got 1%
Mm.
increment. So it's okay, the dynamic, the role, responsibilities, accountabilities is huge. But boxer was the labor, was perceived as a
What?
labor, was put in the box of the labors, and and the rest made sure that he will not see himself in a better light.
Yeah.
And with us, while we are using I think we are not actually aware what AI is.
Mm.
We are just
Good point.
following the trends and we are copying, pasting
Mm.
narrative without really understanding what it's all about. And this is what happened with many animals in the farm.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an incremental shift that you don't realize it's happening, and you're told X, Y, and Z, you go along with it, and then you don't see the bigger picture because you're just fed, like the animals were, this little narrative that you go along with, and things might change and you might like it or not, but you go along with it. And this seems to be where AI is the pigs, because it's or the people who are controlling the AI, I should say, are the pigs in Animal Farm. And we are being driven down a path where there is no end product. I said this in the last podcast. There's no end goal. I don't know what the end goal is with AI. It's been given to us as a gift, but
It's
then
just, it
yeah,
just came to my mind. AI, we are operating all the time. Even Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everything is AI, right?
yeah,
Even now that we are connected across the world, we are connected because of the system,
mm,
right? Some weeks ago, there was a post on Facebook asking what skill young people shall learn in 2026.
mhm,
And I put it in the comment, literacy of expression. Few days back, I see someone has reacted with the laughing
yeah,
emoji to it,
mhm.
and the comment was adult men. WTF?
Oh, right, okay.
What is it? Freedom of speech? We got that already.
Ah,
And I got confused. I said, what did I write that he wrote in so low level? I said, literacy of expression. And like, it's not just for young people, it's for us because the quality of his
everyone. Yeah,
comment just exactly confirmed my point of view. AI is taking away from us ability to express with the quality,
mm,
is silencing us.
yes,
And that's very interesting. I wonder what GC will say about that. For me, it's kind of hypocrisy slash irony because there is created a huge noise and at the same time the user become more and more silenced.
yes,
What do you think?
So the pigs trained dogs, right, to be the enforcers.
they did. Yes.
And so that's the authoritarian approach that I think Orwell was trying to warn about, because Orwell was known as a socialist, right? He had socialistic ideologies that kind of put things in there, but he did not want speech to, he still thought free speech was a key element. You had to have the freedom of speech was more important than anything else, because that's where you got, the chickens that were, abused, and their speech was cut off because of the control of the pigs. And then you got Napoleon versus oh my goodness, what was the other pig's name? I just forgot.
Snowball. Snowball.
Snowball, yeah, that's right, Snowball. And so, Snowball was cut and silenced, and,
Mm,
and Napoleon controlled the story, the narrative of
mm,
how Snowball was conspiring with the chickens and all that. It was a totally false story, but he made it up, and because he had the loudest voice and all that, he was able to authoritarianly control things. And Simon, you made a comment earlier about, like, in a capitalistic society, you have people, perhaps there's more opportunity for envy because
mm,
the divergence of things, like somebody's going to have a better idea than somebody else. And if you allow all the ideas to be available, the better idea is going to win out. And that often that leads to certain kinds of monopolies, right? Which goes right back to authoritarian control. Is like, well, if I had the best idea, like
mm,
my lemonade stand had the best lemonade, hands down. Everybody loved my lemonade more than anybody else's lemonade. All the other kids' lemonade stands are going to go out of business. They're not going to get customers. And so, but what if I take my recipe and I share it with the other kids? And for sharing my recipe, I ask for just a portion
mm,
of their lemonade production and say, hey, I had the best recipe. Everybody loves mine. I want you to get business too. So here's my recipe. Just every time you sell a cup, give me a nickel or give me a penny off of your lemonade. And now because I've got 50 kids in the neighborhood all selling lemonade with my recipe, um, and they're all giving me a nickel, I don't even have to sell lemonade anymore. I'm sitting there, I'm not sweating anymore. My innovation, my creativity, my skill in whatever you want to call it is now paying for me to not even do work. And people look at me and they say, "Oh, look, you're not even sitting outside in the hot sun selling lemonade. How do you deserve the hundreds of dollars you're making off of these other lemonade stands when you're doing nothing?" Like, well, I did something for a while and I came up with a different idea, and then I helped others to do the same thing, and they happily provide me a piece of their production and the profits from their production. I don't need to do it anymore. And that's some people call that smart business. Other people call that authoritarianism. Like, which is it? Like,
Mm.
are they controlling people? Are they making them use that recipe? Or like, no, that was the best one. Everybody loves it. Now, once you have a recipe that clearly works and everybody's buying it, why would anybody come up with a new recipe? Because it's risky, right? It's now there's a possibility that if you try to come up with a new recipe for the lemonade, people are going to reject it and it might not work. And that's the entrepreneurial risk that you have to take. And so in order to convince somebody to take that risk, you have to have investors. You have to
mm,
have people say, okay, it's going to be a risk. So are you willing to give me some resources, some money or some materials, and take part of the risk with me to try this new thing and see if we can get sales like the other recipe that's going like gangbusters for everybody. And if it works, great. We can make money. Now we're a competitor against the old recipe, and maybe that changes the dynamics of who makes money where. But then, you know, what do you deserve in return for investing in something like that? Like, you didn't do the work, you just gave some resources to it, some money or something like that, and let somebody else take on the risk. And so they get more money for taking on the risk, and you get a portion of money for putting in an investment. And then who's going to do the labor? Who's going to do the work? We always come back to that one, right? And it's so the idea of envy, and this is why I was smiling a minute ago, is because it this is JC in a nutshell, and I always come back to this every single time. Simon knows where I'm about to go. Self-control.
mm,
Mm.
Envy is only mitigated by individual self-control. The pigs lost control of themselves. Uh, a boxer, he had a certain measure of self-control, but he didn't monitor his well-being, and he worked himself to death because he lost control. His self-control was not mitigated for his own well-being.
mm,
He lost control, so self-control was an issue for him. And it's that's the thing is if we are going to move forward in society anywhere in a positive direction that's going to have good leadership, good followership, right? Being a good follower is just as important as being a good leader. Good leaders have been good
Totally
followers.
agree.
And so if you cannot control yourself in a way to properly follow the right kind of thing that's supposed to follow, then your lack of self-control is going to contribute. Like everybody who built that windmill, they lost some measure of self-control in that effort, and things got destroyed because they weren't properly controlling themselves. And even though we have trepidation about who's going to be in charge of AI and who's going to, the conversation that we've kind of had a little bit here is that AI is manipulating us, right? Like it is steering us. People have algorithmically placed answers and ways of responding to us that appeal to us. And now, because we've been appealed to, we will follow almost blindly something. Are we so pathetic that we cannot avoid blindly following things? Because that's the question. Like, is humanity pathetic?
Have you ever felt like AI is taking over?
Well, we know that AI is the biggest workplace shift since the internet, and it's already here. This is AI and I, the age of co-intelligence.